Arsenal on a season-long loan. Spanish international goalkeeper David Raya has joined us from Brentford on a season-long loan. The 27-year-old has been an integral part of the Bees team in recent seasons and played in all 38 of their Premier League matches last season. Born in Barcelona, he came to England at 16 years of age when he signed for Blackburn Rovers as an academy player. He had a short-term loan to Southport in the National League. So that tells you been in the league for a while. Does he count as homegrown? He's been at the lower leagues. He knows how real football is. He helped achieve promotion to the Championship with Blackburn, and then obviously departed to join Brentford in West London in 2019 for £3 million. Quite the profit. Made 161 appearances for them. Pick him up, people. And now he's an Arsenal footballer. Skipping to what Edu said, we welcome David to the club we welcome David to us on a season-long loan from Brentford. David is a top quality goalkeeper who has consistently performed to a high level with Brentford in the Premier League. With David joining us, why do I keep saying David? With David joining us, we are adding quality and depth to our squad so we can perform at the highest possible level in all competitions. As part of the agreement, there's an option to make the move permanent, and he'll wear the number 22, people. So yeah, welcome David, our fourth summer signing. Apparently, the man himself said, I'm over the moon to be able to take this challenge in my career and make the step up. I'm really excited to get going and see how the season ends. I spoke to the boss and he sent me the values of what Arsenal are about. The way that the club is going, it's growing even more. So it's a beautiful challenge to take and I couldn't say no. I've seen a lot of Arsenal for a lot of years. And since Mikel came in, he's made a massive difference to the style of play and to the club. The way the team plays out of the back, being confident and taking possession to the other team is the main thing why I fit into the team. I like that, really. I'm going to try and help as much as possible and we'll see what happens. Going all the way down, he spoke on previously working with Inaki Kanya, who was a goalkeeping coach at Brentford prior to signing for Arsenal. Inaki is a very demanding, but he's a very good goalie coach. He's always on to you, but he only wants you to be the best. I felt so much better when I started training with him. And in the space of 6 months, he changed my vision of a goalkeeper and the way I played back at Blackburn to how I played at Brentford. He was the first one to change my mindset to see different aspects of goalkeeping. I can't wait to be out there training with the lads and getting that GK union, goalkeeping union going. That's a tight group that we're always going to get along and push each other. So that's going to be a healthy group, in my opinion. I just can't wait to get going and meet the lads. And I wonder who our third choice goalie is. If I'm Arthur Okonkwo or Kyle Hine, I'm trying to go on loan. I don't want to be a third choice goalie. Runnison, I don't think anybody, even Mikel Arteta, wants you to be our third choice goalie. And I don't want to be that guy. And this is just a hypothetical, and I hope it never happens. But he's on loan. He's not a permanent Arsenal player. We've got to play Brentford twice. God forbid, if Ramsdale gets suspended, injured, or for whatever reason can't play, where are we at there? So we'll have to see. But nonetheless, he said, one of the challenges is to get used to the style and the patterns and to get to know the players as soon as possible, to get that bond from the beginning, knowing the players and staff. I think they're going to put me in the right direction. I'll fit in straight away. Big him up for that one there, people. 12 facts you might not know about him. He used to be a futsal player. Now, I've seen this, and I'm sure if you've typed in his name on Google, you've seen that he used to play futsal in Spain and whatnot. And that's probably helped him in what's needed right now in terms of being a goalkeeper in the modern game. He idolized Iker Casillas, which apparently he grew up as a Barcelona fan, people. He grew up in Barcelona and he was a Real Madrid fan, as you can see there, dodging the desktop job. And again, at 16 years of age, he did a madness. And he's got big bollocks, because, at 16 years of age, he moved to a new country. And forgive me, but it's not like it was London. He went all the way up to Blackburn. So shout out to him. He's been on loan at the lower league. So he understands how real football is, really and truly. And he's obviously bucking familiar faces. So, yeah, man, welcome. And we all remember that 3-3 draw. Marcel, you remember that 3-3 draw, innit? Between Liverpool and Brentford. And he's obviously won stuff with Spain. And, yeah, man, he's lit. Welcome to the club. Unfortunately, some of you have seen Timber could be out for months, people, after sustaining an injury. Again, Arsenal are still consulting to know the severity of it, but it don't look good. And he'll be out for a while, wouldn't he? And it's upsetting, really. 50-odd minutes into your first Premier League game after having a blisteringly good pre-season and earning a lot of rep after we beat Manchester City in the cup final. It's crazy, but Arsenal want Timber to undergo further tests and scans as they look to determine whether he has suffered meniscus damage. The versatile defender who started at left back at the weekend is likely to require surgery if the injury is as bad as Arsenal medics fear. Timber is now set to spend months on the sidelines recuperating from injury, just weeks after he joined the club, unfortunately, people. And if you scroll all the way down, apparently Arsenal would look to replace Tierney better yet, the expectation, despite Timber's injury, is for Tierney to be sold, provided the Gunners receive a suitable fee, which anything can happen in the last weeks of the window. But for all the Newcastle links, the Sociedad links, it doesn't seem like we're getting any of that. Arsenal would look to replace Tierney if he were to leave, particularly given Timber's injury, with Manchester City's João Cancelo a known target. There's also interest in centre-back Gabriel from Saudi Arabia. As you know, he wasn't in the squad, the starting lineup, better yet, for the game at the weekend. And apparently there's live interest from one of the centrally owned clubs in Saudi and Gabriel, though it remains to be seen whether Arsenal would even consider letting the central defender depart. I'm sure you've all seen on social media, a journalist gave Fabinho a Rolex, so I don't know. I feel for him. He was so excited, especially after the Community Shield win. Timber's out for 6 months or end of the season. I don't know. It could be 4 months. It could be 6 months. It could be the whole season. Just as long as we give the man the best rehab that he needs, people. May have to get another fullback and probs a centre-back. Why do Arsenal have so many injuries? I don't know. Raya is considered a homegrown talent, but Timber is out for months. Shame. I hope for the best. Trossard is so much better than Kai Havertz. Why Havertz start and not Trossard? You'd have to take that out with the gaffer. Do you think it's realistic we get Cancelo? For me personally, no. Thoughts on Pedro Neto? He looked washed yesterday. Bit harsh. You know what? He's had 2 big injuries, and I think that's taken a lot out of him. If we could get him back to playing how he was prior to those injuries, bring him in. Kai wasted money, to be honest. He just has to prove you lot wrong, really. You know, you're right to have concerns. On the balance of probability, on what we've seen, Havertz is unlikely to take us anywhere we haven't been. 65 million spunked, in my opinion, and Trossard to start ahead. I mean, in Arteta's 40s playing Havertz, I'll give Havertz a chance, but I can understand the frustrations. I wasn't sitting here and saying sign Havertz to improve our midfield, but Arteta was, and he's the man with the plan. If you haven't seen, Arsenal have obviously provided an article on Timber. Further to his substitution during our match against Nottingham Forest on Saturday, Timber has received extensive assessments and scans which have confirmed he has sustained an injury to his right knee. Extensive assessments. So that means, you know, we've ran the rule a few times and they've all probably come back the same thing. Timber will undergo a further detailed assessment and review with a consultant in the coming days to assess the full extent of the injury in order to determine the next steps. A further update will be provided in due course. Everybody at the club will be focused on supporting Jurriën at this time. And it's one of them. I'm no doctor. You know, every day that goes past and every scan that you do, that tells you a new thing. It's one where you kind of have to let it develop, because that's the only way you're going to know the sustained damage. And for Timber, football is one thing, but you're a young man. You need your knees for life, innit? I'm sure you want to be an active parent and grandparent, God willing. So hopefully he bounces back sooner rather than later. Gabriel has been lined up for a shock Saudi Arabia transfer. I personally don't think he was left out of Saturday's game for this, but I don't know really. It could be this, it could be discipline issues, it could be tactical issues, I don't know. But apparently he's being linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. Didn't he turn down Paris Saint-Germain not too long ago? Not a clue why, people, and it doesn't specifically say a club. It just says he's got interest from Saudi Arabia, a bit like Thomas Partey. And you've seen a bunch of players go to Saudi Arabia. I couldn't begrudge anyone for going to get that money. This article has basically spoken about what I've just said about Gabriel, but at the end of this article in the Mirror, it said Arsenal would have to replace him, talking about Gabriel, and a long-term admirers of Crystal Palace defender Mark Gurhey, who has been a target for Chelsea this summer. Gunners boss Mikel Arteta would also be interested in Laporte, who he worked with at Man City. So there you have that. I think it's just a case of us having admirations for players. Obviously, Cancelo and Laporte, they can play on the left-hand side, where Timber's just sustained an injury and Zinchenko's nursing his way back from such as well. So I don't know if there's any credibility towards getting a deal done for these individuals, but I think that's where it comes from. Arsenal changed transfer priority after Timber injury, as Kieran Tierney call made. I personally would hold fire on letting Tierney go at this moment, especially with that injury. But if it's not affected, then that tells you Tierney's not in the plans. It's a bit like Balogun. You know, Jesus' injury, I don't think it's affected any of the plans Arsenal want to do with who plays up front or who be the options. Arsenal are prepared to add another left-sided defender to their ranks before September the 1st deadline, after losing Timber to a serious knee injury. Again, scrolling all the way down, we're going to keep repeating the same thing. Now the Gunners are drawing up contingency plans as their medical staff continue to conduct further testing on Timber's knee. Despite clear indications, the player is set for a considerable spell on the sidelines. Zinchenko continues to rebuild his fitness levels, while Tierney is still expected to be pushed towards the exit door following his ongoing struggles to adapt to the demands of Arteta's meticulous football. Newcastle are seeking to agree a loan for the Scotsman with an obligation to buy, although the Magpies are also considering other targets, including Chelsea, duo Cucurella and Lewis Hall. Ain't Lewis Hall gone to Crystal Palace? There's a chance Tierney's departure will not be sanctioned until a replacement is secured. However, Sociedad have also held initial talks over an initial loan deal, while West Ham are the latest club to show an interest in the 26-year-old. I mean, they want Balogun, they want Tierney. We know we just gave you 105 million quid, so give us something decent, really. Arsenal are firm admirers of Manchester City's Laporte, who can leave the Etihad Stadium this month at the right price. But the Premier League champions are reluctant to do further business with the Gunners as they continue to make huge strides under the Spanish technician. Fair enough, people. Apparently, Arteta and Edu would also be open to the prospect of signing João Cancelo if a deal was deemed financially viable. Although, once again, there's a huge doubt City would be prepared to strike an agreement with Arsenal or any direct rival. Allegedly, Cancelo has already agreed personal terms with Barcelona as the two clubs continue to negotiate a deal for the Portuguese fullback, whose relationship with Pep deteriorated last season and resulted in him going to Bayern Munich. Remember when they said we made a mistake for not signing Jed Spence? Look at him now, mate. Anyway, scrolling all the way down, Arteta is slowly assembling a defensive roster that is comparable to City's backline in terms of profile. Both are now operating with ball-playing centre-backs at fullback while handing them the license to step into midfield. Should Arsenal struggle to find a solution within the market, there's a chance they could turn to a cost-effective alternative such as Timothy Cassano or Southampton's Kyle Walker-Peters, both of whom are already established Premier League fullbacks. The relegated duo have previously been tracked by Arsenal scouts and could be available for a cut price as they target an immediate return to the top flight. No clue how long they're under contract, but as you saw with Lavia, to be fair, it's a bit different, but Southampton got relegated and they're getting 50, 60 million for the guy. So we'll have to see. I don't know what they got for Ward-Prowse, but they did play hardball for Ward-Prowse. For what it's worth, Fulham and Juventus are also looking at Cassano, people. He's yet to play in the Championship. Kyle Walker-Peters is still a firm part of Russell Martin's plans, people, but there is an acceptance PL clubs could target the former Spurs fullback later in the market. We've spoken about Gabriel potentially going elsewhere. We've been linked with Tap Sober once again, as well as Mark Gurr. He smashed the like button and let me know your thoughts. Again, Arsenal could hijack major Barcelona transfer. I just think the finances means this is a myth. But allegedly, Arsenal reportedly tried to beat Barcelona to City's João Cancelo if Tierney leaves the club. Surely we need to move for someone that can play left back regardless of what Tierney's doing. I mean, footballtransfers.com do talk a load of garbage, don't they? They said we're getting Mbappe, but fair enough. Barca are said to have agreed personal terms with the Portugal fullback and tabled an official offer, although it remains to be seen whether City will accept. Scrolling all the way down. Despite Barcelona seemingly closing in on the 29-year-old, though, Arsenal are ready to pounce if they lose Tierney, according to the Daily Mail, people. So I'm not too sure if you lot believe this, but we've definitely had an interest in the man, so it might make sense. Stop the Havertz hate, give the dude a chance. Xhaka had one. I hope we keep things simple in terms of the squad and formation. Partey's a 6 and not a right back. Zinchenko and Kirill can play left back. Tomiyasu and White can play right back. Tomiyasu can play on the left-hand side as well. Poor management to leave Gabriel out to fit in Havertz. I don't know if that's the case, but it worked at the moment. Gabriel had a knock, so was not ready, not worth the risk. Should start against Palace. Arteta sometimes overthinks things. We don't need to be playing Timber at left back and Partey at right back. He baffles me with his squad decisions. To be fair, he paid to overthink. Pep overthink. Some of the people that have changed this world, we're using computers, we're using the internet, we're using phones. In those circumstances, if those individuals didn't overthink, then we wouldn't be where we need to be. And I disagree with Timber not playing left back, really, because it's versatility, really. You see it at with under Pep Guardiola. Everybody says, I'm not saying you necessarily, but Arteta is fixated in his ways. Then he starts being flexible and trying things. There's an issue. Timber has played left back because he's got the capacities to do it. Partey, I agree. I don't agree with him playing at right back, but it's not like he's playing organically at fullback. And to be fair, he's shown he could do that at Atletico Madrid, really. DG, Tomiyasu and Partey are going to the Asia Cup and AFCON during the winter break. We definitely need a right back. Boy, there we have it. Gabriel was left out to shoehorn Partey, Rice, Havertz and Odegaard into the team. I hear that. It worked, though. Absolutely gutted for Timber. Was more excited for him than Rice. I never gave... Oh, hey, chill with that. How on earth does Gabriel getting dropped have anything to do with Havertz? Hey, Zeus, man, I know we paid a lot of money for him, but you don't have to be constantly be riding him at every given opportunity. Let him play. Pause. You lot are very opinionated, and that's what I love to see. Allegedly, people, Sky Sports was told by Kieran Maguire, it's going all the way up. Arsenal well placed to rake in after two big names kicked out the door. Arsenal following the transfer model used by Chelsea by signing younger players on long-term contracts with a low base wage. I don't think that's anything isolated to Arsenal or Chelsea. It just sounds like good business, really. if I'm honest with you. That's the view of this finance expert. Let's see exactly what he said. Arsenal will benefit from a higher revenue base next season due to their runners-up finishing the Premier League and they're qualifying for the Champions League. We knew that. You're allowed to spend this season around 80% of that on wages, so that increases your wage bill ceiling. On top of that, they'll have a full Emirates Stadium for at least 3 games in the Champions League. The other benefit that Arsenal have is that some of the more problematic contracts, such as Ozil and Aubameyang, have now been kicked out the door. As a consequence, they have more flexibility. They're trying to recruit younger players, and to a certain extent, they're following the model that Chelsea have also employed, signing players younger on longer contracts, but actually paying them a lower base salary with a higher commitment towards performance-related bonuses. Just sounds like a competent business model to me. Big up Arsenal for that. Arsenal are set to bin 4 stars to fund new signings, allegedly. Let's see exactly what's being said here, people. Well, Tierney's name's been dropped. Holding, Pepe, Tavares are also candidates to join Tierney out the door, people. It is believed the Gunners are indeed keen to sign another attacking player before next month's deadline. We'd have to see exactly what's going on in that regard. I don't know how much of a spanner this injury is thrown into it. Once again, David Raya's deal has been announced, so he is an Arsenal player now, and he was training with Arsenal today as well, as you look can see, and he will wear the number 22 if we didn't make that clear. Romano obviously said, and we've seen it now, there was no issues in that, which were great. Once again, Arsenal will sanction an exodus of fringe players in coming weeks as they look to fund a final summer signing. I think we need more than one now. Sources have told Football Insider Kieran Tierney, Holding, Pepe, Tavares are the most likely candidates to leaving, with the club keen to sign another attacking player before next month's deadline. Surprised they haven't said Balogun. When you look at some of the news with João Cancelo, City will demand a 60 million euros clause, people, for Cancelo as an obligation to buy if he does move on loan to Barcelona. So that's about 50 odd million quid. And with us being rivals or fellow Premier League clubs, we might even have to pay more. Barca, however, want the obligation to buy clause amount in Cancelo's deal to be at most 25 million euros. Manchester City will not accept any less than 45 million euros, allegedly. Mendes has informed Barcelona that the operation for João Cancelo is well on track. The signing of Cancelo could be announced in the coming days. Barca's idea is to pay part of the Portuguese salary, but not pay a loan fee in itself. The buy option will be around 35 million euros. Wednesday and Thursday could be key days to complete the deal, and I don't think he's keen on staying in the Premier League. I think he's going to go Barcelona. Once again, people, we've been linked with Southampton's Kyle Walker-Peters, and that obviously helps with homegrown and also Timothy Cassage. And apparently, Romano has said Arsenal will explore the market now. At the beginning of the transfer window, they were looking at bringing in one more centre-back, a more traditional one. For example, one that is appreciated by the club is Laporte. However, Manchester City didn't want to sell another player to Arsenal, so that probably puts to bed those rumours. Apparently, Arsenal's option to buy on Raya will turn into an obligation purchase should certain conditions be met. What are these conditions? An official announcement has been made already, so we don't need to keep going on about that. Apparently, Monaco are yet to make a second offer for Balogun, but Arsenal still want 50 million euros. Monaco also contacted Akambi, but he's set to go to Saudi Arabia. The follow-up tweet of Fabrice Hawkins, basically his comments, he said Arsenal asking for 50 million and it's curbing the enthusiasm of Monaco slightly, but negotiations are still ongoing, folks. Monaco have yet to make this second offer once again, folks. Craig Hope has said, I understand Newcastle exploring moves for Chelsea's Lewis Hall, but at a limit of spend and must be creative. Arsenal's Kieran Tierney and Chelsea's Cucurella also discussed at left back, but nothing close. So that's that for the Flying Scotsman. We was previously linked with Rennes's midfielder Megier, and it looks like he's going to Wolfsburg, the creation. There you have it there. Romano has spoken on Kudus as well, people. What specifically has he said? Some reports suggesting that Arsenal have open talks for Kudus at the moment. I'm not aware of any concrete negotiations with Kudus and Arsenal. I'll let you know. I am told that the last call between Kudus and Arsenal side was at the end of July, a couple of weeks ago. Let's see if they reactivate the option. Let's see if they want to bid. Personal opinion, Kudus would be perfect for Arsenal and Chelsea, and it looks like he could actually sign for West Ham. Apparently, Brighton had a deal done basically, but it didn't happen. Arsenal returned for Barcelona target after Timber injury. Arteta identifies 2 championship alternatives. We've already spoken about probably Kyle Walker-Peters and Timothy Cassage, and we've been relinked with the 18-year-old Ivan Fresneda, really. Apparently, Romano has said Ivan Fresneda remains likely to move this summer, even if Arsenal are no longer being linked with him, as they always consider Timber a versatile, smart option for the position, the best on the market, according to the Gunners board. Fresneda could have other options, but links with Bournemouth have not been confirmed. AC Milan had his name on their list, but they decided to focus on different deals, while Barcelona also met his agents, but are now working on other options. I always include João Cancelo on their list. But reports out of Spain say Arsenal could now renew their interest in the youngster with the Spanish website, Dem Man, Jan, whatever that is, claiming that the Gunners' search for a replacement has led to Fresnedo's door. Apparently, the Prem side see him as an attractive option, and Arteta has given his approval of the operation, but Arsenal could face intense competition for his signature. Some of you might remember his article in The Athletic where he said he likes Arsenal and that. So we'll have to see. The Daily Express has said, should Arsenal... Oh, sorry, we've already gone through that. So what's the point going over the same thing again? Neto is class, but he's injury prone. We need a right-back striker and a good winger. Cancelo wasted time for us. If we win against Palace, the stage for a promising season is set 2 home games. Then you've got 36 games left. So I think we just need to take every game in our stride. Let's just focus on having the best performance over these first 10 games. Let's get to December and get into that January period, still in hope of what we want to achieve. From then, let's get to April. And then from April to May, it's a shootout, innit? Let's just relax a bit, man. I hear it, though. I hear it. Big up you lot for your talking points. Keep them flowing, people. Keep smashing the like button, and let's keep going. We're almost at the end. Once again, I think this is the prime article where the Balogun stuff came out, switching this from French to English. As we know, Ben Yedder, he's got some legal issues going on. Embolo is injured. Balogun seems to be more heavily linked with Monaco than Inter Milan at this moment in time. So I don't think we've learned anything new there. Has Get France said anything? If we skip to this, people, apparently, whilst talks with Arsenal continue, Monaco are in talks with the player's entourage in order to reach a provisional agreement on personal terms. Balogun's preference is for a move to Inter Milan, but the Serie A side will struggle to pull off a deal due to financial reasons. So we'll have to see. A dream move is a myth. Spurs were linked with Balogun. Not even going to waste time reading that, really. This article just speaking about ripping up Pepe's contract, which we've heard before. And yesterday we heard he's actually got a deal agreed to go to Besiktas when the time's coming. Fabrizio Romano has said the knee injury for Timber is a problem. Arsenal will explore the market. We'll discuss internally. Arteta will be involved in the conversations. Let's see if Arsenal will return for Laporte or if they'll go for a fullback to replace Timber. We'll have to see exactly what's being said. Has there been any other news that has come out? Well, we've seen what David Raya had to say about Arsenal Football Club, so we won't waffle about that. Doesn't appear to be anything new. You know, we need to get some outgoings, and we probably need to get another defender in sooner rather than later, if I'm completely honest. When did we start conversations around the latest news? Let's say from minute 20 to 38. Sorry, folks, timestamps and that. So, yeah. But he's reluctant on the striking line. Not sure what you mean by that, but I hear that. Come on, my guy. Appreciate that. As long as you have a buyback clause, I don't mind the price of Balogun just in case he becomes amazing. For me, I would like a buyback clause, but if you get 50 odd million for a player not in Arteta's plans, for a player that's come out of the academy, then why not? I'm all for that. And if you get a sell-on clause right now, Arsenal can't afford João Cancelo. Yid kid, big up yourself. But remember, you support Spurs, you know. I wouldn't pocket watch us because you see what we kids buy. We're not going to buy Cancelo. But I could laugh at your football club, but it's a lot funnier than that, man. It doesn't matter how poor of a signing Kai Havertz is. He's won more trophies in England than Harry Kane, mate. Couldn't be any worse than Ndombele, could he? Couldn't be any worse than Richarlison, could he? Couldn't be any worse than Jed Spence, could he? Took a picture after getting promoted with a cigar, and I haven't seen that pussy anywhere. Allow it, man. You support Spurs. I'll take banter from Liverpool, from Chelsea, from United, from City. But Spurs, there's drillers in the room. See yourself out, mate. Allow it. In fact, you should be showing us love. We moved all the way from South London and brought Premier League titles to North London. We even brought it to your damn stadium twice. Allow it, man. I think the idea of inverted fullbacks is overhyped. I don't. But it is the new sort of buzzword now, a bit like when you had 3 at the back and all of these things. So, yeah, I don't. If that's what the manager wants to do, all right. But why I liked Timber is a bit like with City in that, fair enough, and I'm not criticizing Zinchenko. He's just not a good 1v1 defender. When you look at the people who nowadays City deploy, Ake in that position, he's a centre-back by trade. He's actually good 1v1. And if you want to get, you know, you can play Zinchenko and all these guys. I'm not criticizing him. But if you want to get to the latter stages of competitions or when things are crunch time, you need people that are good 1v1. I can't find it off the top of my head. But Pep spoke about this in the aftermath of doing the treble. When is Zinchenko back? Apparently he's in training, but one has to wonder the physical condition of Zinchenko. Played no part of preseason. You know, don't know if there'll be any setbacks. Probably has to be thrown in at the deep end. If he's fully fit and he's passed tests and all of that, then I probably would start Zinchenko against Crystal Palace. But at the same time, I know Crystal Palace have had some players leaving the club and whatnot, but Crystal Palace away from home, I'd feel a lot more comfortable with Tomiyasu defensively. What we might lose going forward, he would help us in the defensive half. Why not just play Zinchenko in midfield? I wish I knew. But there has to be a reason why there's been a reluctance from Pep Guardiola and now Arteta to organically play Zinchenko in midfield. But he has the capacity to do it. And who knows, in an ideal world, if Timber's fit and Arteta demands that the other centre mids are not doing their job and he thinks he can do something with Zinchenko, then you could run that really and truly. He's got the capacity to do it. But I don't know why he's not, man. I'm really not sure at all. Keeping up the theme with Raya, actually, I think the Brentford chairman spoke. Let's see what's being said there. Apparently, the Brentford director said, I'm sure the first question that all Brentford fans will ask is why this transfer has been structured as an initial loan with Arsenal having the option to make it permanent in the future. You'd imagine he signed a new deal of some sort at Brentford to just look after them in that regard. The answer to that is simple. That enables this deal to be done more rapidly between both clubs, with all parties wanting to make this a permanent transfer as soon as practically possible, whenever that might be. That might be a bit of creative accounting being done on our side, people. But as you've seen, you know, he signed a new contract with Brentford, so we've got our option to buy. They obviously, if for some reason it doesn't happen, they obviously can reintegrate him or sell him on. But he signed a new contract. Apparently, he signed essentially a new 3-year deal. He signed for another 2 years with the addition of another 12 months. And you did hear prior to Arsenal being linked that David Raya turned down 2 contract offers. So who knows? We've already said this. David Raya's extension is a fallback position in the event that the transfer is not made permanent. I'm not expecting to see David back at Brentford, although if that ever happened, then of course the opportunity to work with such a high-class goalkeeper for up to 2 more years would in many ways be an unexpected bonus for us.